What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another SGN video where it's all sim all the time. And this video that you clicked on right here, this is a game changer. This changes 2K for you for forever, man. This is unlike anything you've ever played with 2K. And we did that with new, completely revamped player tendencies, global tendency edits that I've been doing since I started doing this actually at the end of 2K23. Global badge edits, completely new badge edits from what we've been doing earlier on this year. Completely new gameplay sliders to match. And I've put all of this together in a start today scenario, good through April 30th. All the playoff records are accurate. Everything is in here for you guys. All my MyNBA sliders and settings. That means you got yourself your trade sliders, your contract sliders, the simulation sliders, the progression sliders. You name it for a MyNBA slider setting, it's in here. On top of that, we got Jack Move draft classes, which I grabbed. I applied a couple of my tendency edits and my badge edits too. And then we got all the global tendency edits for the players, all the global badge edits for the players, the new gameplay sliders that were built for this slider set, or this scenario, to address a couple of things that have been bugging me about the previous sets. And it's all here for you guys to download. We're going to go ahead, though, and cover a few things that are important for you, because when you go from year to year, there's a couple things you have to do. It doesn't take much time, but it's going to create balance and keep the balance and the gameplay that you have at the initial start of things. And because we are starting in the playoffs and there's only a handful of teams remaining, there's a huge portion of you who might be playing with teams where the first thing you're going to do is the off season, and then you're going to advance the next season. And I'm going to teach you how to go ahead and maintain the balance from year one to year two. So we are going to take a couple minutes to do that, but if you are new to the channel, man, number one, thank you for clicking on this video. I really appreciate it. If you could help me out, go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel. It means so much to me. We're about to hit 11K. And if you do like what you see in this video, man, consider becoming a member of SGN Nation, all right? You get a lot of perks. A couple of the perks are you get all my official releases, 3-day early access. And on top of that, everything that I've been working on, it's called a beta, and all my members get access to everything beta. So this scenario, this new tendency badge gameplay slider set, it's been worked on for a while now. All members have had access to this for a couple weeks on top of the official release. So something to consider if you want to become a member of SGN Nation. Now we got that out of the way, we're going to talk about a couple things before we get into the off-season tutorial, which again is very, very important. You guys do not underestimate how important this is. I'm going to try to keep this video as quickly as I can. I honestly have no idea how long this video is going to go, because I want to make sure I'm very thorough with you to make sure you guys get the best gameplay experience that this is designed for. Now, to do that, we got to cover a couple of things. Number one, as all of my slider sets, sliders are to be used as a base. There is no one slider set fits all. You're going to be playing with different talent levels of teams as other people. Everyone's user skill is different than other people, and basketball understanding and how you play 2K, it's all different. So there's no way that there's one slider set that can be universal for all the different team talents that are going to be used between playing with a team like the Celtics versus playing a team with the Pistons. Like, you can't line it up. So keep that in mind. If there's something that you are doing just a little too effectively over a 5 to 6 game span, just identify what that is and adjust the according slider. The slider that relates to it, I guess, accordingly. Vice versa, if you're struggling with something just a little bit over a 5 to 6 game span, it needs to be a couple games, guys, not just one time, then adjust the slider accordingly that's related to the issue you're having. Do the same thing for the CPU, guys. It's really simple, small increments, 1 to 2. If you have any questions, of course, Discord is a great place to get help. We got almost 2,500 people in Discord. So many people are great at answering questions. So if you do grab these and you're having some issues after 5 to 6 games with a certain area, go ahead, pop your questions. Then we got a great group of mods that'll help answer some of your questions. Number 2, broadcast camera. Gotta play on broadcast camera. 2K Cam is way too easy. 2K Cam, great for my career, great for playing people head to head, but for this experience, this realistic simulation experience, broadcast cam. If you play on 2K Cam, it's way too easy, and you're going to have a different experience than what these are designed for. Third and finally is real player percentage. Again, non-negotiable. You can learn a player's shot who is a lower rated player and green, and therefore be better with a player than you should be. Playing on real player percentage allows you to focus on the fundamentals of basketball, getting open looks, good looks, and then letting that player's skill and ratings play out. This also creates a whole new element to team building. So getting better players is going to be more important, because the better the player, the more likelihood of certain shots falling. So you cannot play on shot timing with this. If you want a realistic experience, focus on everything else and just let the ratings play out for the players. All right, so we got those three things out of the way. Now we're going to talk about a couple things with this scenario that are important for you to maintain things from year 1 to year 2, and again year 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, and so on and so on and so on. So we're going to talk about that. So what you would do is every time you advance from the off season to the next season. So for example, when you finish your complete off season, at the very bottom it says advance to the next season. You do all of this after you click that button. You're going to be brought into the calendar screen for the next season. That's when you go ahead and do anything. You're just going to go over to roster and you're going to scroll over to all players. Okay. And the things we're going to talk about, I thought about talking about all the different tendency changes that we made in this video. I decided I'm not going to talk about all that. It would take way too long. And I also thought about dropping all the tendencies in this video, and I think what I'll do is I'll maybe put them in a pinned comment, but I'm not so sure yet, because honestly, looking at Jack Move's draft classes, his tendencies were really, really great. That's one of the reasons I used them. I didn't really find myself needing to adjust too many of the tendencies other than the universal ones, so we'll talk about that later. But the first thing you're going to do after every off season is we do a top 30 method here, and this is to maintain contract balance as well as roster and player overall balance within your MyNBA, and we do that with the intangible rating. Intangible rating is something that literally just impacts the players overall and does nothing else. Doesn't affect anything else with their gameplay. It just impacts their overall rating, which also dictates their trade value and the contracts they desire. So we want balance for that, okay? After every offseason, you got to do a reset, because when you pull it in like this screen right here, players are top to bottom. Embiid's a 98, Jokic 97, etc. When you drop this all down, Embiid will still stay at the top, even though you've dropped his intangible, or you have to back out and go back in for players to reorganize by their overall top to bottom. So you're going to drop everyone. You can globally do it, right? You can drop everyone to 25. And then what you're going to do is your top 10 players. And the cool thing about 2K is right here, you can see exactly 10 players. So it's easy to count. This is exactly 10 players. From Embiid down to LeBron is exactly 10 players. So your top 10 players here, you're going to bump them back up to a 99 intangible. Then what you're going to do is your next 5 are going to be all 75 overall intangible. Then your next 15 players are all 50. This is going to give us a top 30. Why do we do top 30? Well, 30 is typically the amount of players who are eligible for all-star games when you factor in alternates due to injuries, things like that. Top 30, I think, is a really good balance. 15 from each side. It doesn't work out like that, but 30, I think, is a really good balance. And you need to have a top 30 players in the league. So the intangible rating is going to give you a top 30. When you get down here and you look at, for example, Porzingis is an 86 overall. He's a 50. DeJounte Murray is an 84. He's a 25 intangible. Just to give you guys an example of what happens. So if we were to move DeJounte Murray up to a 50 intangible, you can see his overall goes from an 84 to an 86. And if we were just to keep on just bumping him on up to a 99 overall intangible, look what happens. He becomes an 89. It's a spread of 5 overall points. That's why this is so critical to roster balance, and it has a huge impact on what players want for contracts and money. So that's why this is important. So you see a guy like Bam Adebayo, DeJounte Murray, they're down there 84 overall, and you're like, what the heck, what's going on? You know, LaMelo's an 84. As they progress, if they make it into that top section, right, you're going to see big jumps. But if they don't, maybe DeJounte Murray was in the initial 30 and now he's not, so you're going to see it's going to look like he declined. He really didn't decline. Other players just progressed ahead of him, and so he's now out of that top 30, which that's okay. You want roster balance. So the main thing you got to do is do this. Top 10 players are 99 overall, next 5 are 75, and final 15 are 50. Then what we're going to do is we're going to hop on over, once we have our top 30, we're going to hop on over to our tendency view. And this is also very important, and you're going to scroll all the way over, and the easiest way for me to do is just to go from far to the right and go over to the left, and we are going to get all the way to player discipline. Okay, player discipline is very important on how players play inside the game. Now, previously, we've been doing a 40-60 split. I decided it wasn't enough, so we expanded on it significantly, and holy hell do I love it, right? So now we're doing a 30-70 split, and I'll explain. What you're going to do is you're going to set every player in the NBA, just globally do this edit. It's super easy. We're going to set every single player in the NBA to 70 play discipline. This is how likely they are to stick to the game plan, the play call, and not do their own thing, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our top 30 players, the superstars, and we're going to drop it down to 30. This means that their superstar players are going to be more likely to kind of wing it and do their own thing, as superstars like to do. They sometimes like to huck, they kind of go iso ball, God mode, whatever you want to call it. We want more of that from our top 30 players. So that's why you're going to want to redo this after every offseason, because your top 30 players are going to change, and you can't just leave play discipline alone. You're also going to want to, for your draft classes, set all their intangibles to 25 and all their play discipline to 70. For the draft classes, and then of course after the offseason comes in, you're still going to want to go ahead and do the reset. So those are the two main things you're going to do after every offseason. The next thing is badges. We have a couple global badge edits. I'm going to talk to you about the badge edits that we have that are global, and I'm going to also show you guys and explain to you how to maintain these badge edits from year to year. We definitely made some changes with the badge edits. The first one, it's a very, very big one, is back down Punisher. Previously, this has been completely removed, and we are now leaving it in the game, and I love it. I think it's so much better having it in the game. I haven't seen anything negative from it being in the game. I've only seen positives. So happy to have it back in the game. So the big change is we're just leaving back down Punisher. You don't have to do anything with it. We're just not getting rid of it anymore like we used to. New change. This is new. Bailout. Completely gone. We're taking away bailout. This is going to keep players, and it happens for the user, but it happens more for the CPU, where you play really good defense and they make what would be a horrible pass, but because they have bailout, it's an accurate pass that should have been a turnover, and it goes to their teammate. And this is one of the reasons we don't have a lot of turnovers in 2K. One of the main focuses that I had with this revamp is creating more turnovers, as well as improving realistic help defense, which we're going to talk about later. So removing bailout is going to be key to helping to create more turnovers. Now, when you advance your offseason, players develop, and there are going to be players that go ahead and gain bailout, bronze, maybe even silver. All you have to do is go in here and just flick down globally. It'll do it 4 times. You're guaranteed 4, because Hall of Fame is the max, right? Bronze, silver, gold, Hall of Fame. Flip it down 4 times just to be safe. You're going to guarantee that nobody has bailout. So that's the first, or I guess the second big update that we have to the global badges. Next, we're going to move on over to glove. Glove is one of those that everybody gets. We want to create more turnovers, more steals. So the way we do this initially, I'm going to explain how we did this initially and then how you do to maintain things in the future. We wanted to make sure that we kept the difference between different players with different levels of gloves. So initially, Shai Gilgeous in this roster has bronze glove. It's not fair to give all these other players like Steph Curry bronze glove and keep Shai Gilgeous at bronze as well. So what we did is we just literally did a +1 on the initial roster. This is going to give everybody in the league bronze glove, and it's going to give everybody that had bronze, silver, gold, Hall of Fame. This is going to keep that disparity that players had. This is important. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain all these badges that we gave a +1 to, and I'm going to explain what to do in the off season to maintain this, because it's not as simple as just a +1 or a -1. I'll explain that in a second. So the next thing we went ahead and did was interceptor. Interceptor is a +1 as well here. This was just as simple as flicking it up on the stick. That's why you guys, like Giannis was silver, he's now gold. Shai was silver, he's now gold. So We kept the disparity, but we made sure that everyone in the league has a minimum bronze interceptor just to get more passes deflected, intercepted in the game. Again, we wanted more turnovers, more realistic turnovers. It's been a struggle to get in 2K, but we're really close right now. I really like where it's at. A big one that we did next was we completely removed Needle Threader. This was because there'd be so many times that both the user and CPU would make some passes that would honestly should have been stolen, intercepted, but because A, players didn't have interceptor, and because B, players had needle threader, they would just magically make their way through a sea of hands. We don't want that. We want realism. We want realistic experiences. So to, again, help create more of a turnover realistic game and punish both you and the CPU for making bad passes into traffic, needle threader has been completely removed. This one's really easy to maintain. Again, you just go in the off season and you just flick it down 4 times to make sure nobody has needle threader. Next, this one is a staple from the original thing in that the original scenario, and that's whistle. Everyone got a +1. Everyone got a +1 to whistle. It's that simple. We want to get fouls, and we're going to talk more about fouls a little bit later. But yeah, whistle is important to help people get more fouls. And then the big one here, and I tested this one. We've been having Enforcer where everyone had Enforcer. And I was really curious, did we really need everyone to have Enforcer? And I went ahead and I tested leaving it default. Just the players who had Enforcer had it and the people who didn't. And guys, let me tell you, there's basically no fouls called without Enforcer. It's crazy how important Enforcer is to getting fouls called. You literally don't have this equipped, you're not getting any foul calls. Shooting foul calls, like literally none at all. So this is, again, this is a +1. Everyone keeps Enforcer. Now, what we're gonna do, we're talking about the badges that everyone needs to have at minimum bronze. We're talking about how to maintain it after the season. So the scenario you're literally gonna run into is a player will regress and lose whistle or lose one of the other badges, right, that we want to have, glue hands, or not glue hands, glove or interceptor, whatever the case may be, or they gain a badge that we don't want them to have, right? We already talked about how you just nerf that, but the ones that we want them to have, like whistle and things like that, when they gain, if they lose it due to regression, right, we want to keep balance. We want to keep that. So the easiest way to do that, and I'm going to just scroll down here so you guys can see, as you can see up here, Jimmy Butler has Hall of Fame whistle, all right? Jalen Brunson has bronze. Let's just say hypothetically that after the season, Jalen Brunson lost his bronze. A lot of players are going to lose their bronze whistle. You don't just simply do a plus up again, because that's going to give guys like Kawhi gold. Is going to bump them up to Hall of Fame. You're going to give Donovan Mitchell gold, and eventually after 1 or 2 years, everyone's going to have Hall of Fame whistle. So to create balance, what you do is you simply do a down 1, right? So as you can see, now Jalen Brunson doesn't have it. He didn't have it before in this situation. Everyone's reduced 1, and then you're going to hit +1. Now everyone went back to before. Jimmy Butler's back to his Hall of Fame, but Jalen Brunson has his bronze. So in the offseason, or I should say after the offseason, when you got to redo this, on the badges we want to keep, right? Everyone needs to have whistle. Everyone needs to have interceptor. Everyone needs to have glove. You got to do a -1, +1 for those that lose it. It's that simple. Just go down the line. Remove needle threader. Remove the bailout. Excuse me, I'm forgetting. And then you're going to do a down 1 +1 on interceptor, whistle, glove, and then enforcer is the same thing. Just do a down 1 +1. This is going to make sure everyone has enforcer. That's it, guys. That's all you have to do in the off season to maintain everything. You're going to want to do this to your draft classes too, or you can. It's really up to you how you want to do it. But I definitely recommend doing the intangible and play discipline for your draft classes before you bring them in. So we're going to just go ahead and get out of here. That's the main thing you guys want to do in the off season. And it's also telling you guys a little bit about the differences that we've made to these without breaking down all the tendency changes. Now, like I said, everything is in here that you need. I have all the settings set up. I actually even have my camera setting if you want. You can use a different broadcast camera. I have all the coaching settings set up how you want. You're going to want to go ahead and build your rotation. I do have that video for you. You can check that out. Now we're going to talk about the sliders a little bit. Now I'm not going to do a full show and breakdown of all the sliders because, number one, they're in the scenario, so you don't really need that. Number two, if you only want the sliders, which they still will do really, really well, even if you pair it up with my non-edited roster, it's really simple. Just download the scenario, save the sliders, exit, load the sliders into your file. So really don't need to make another slider video because I'm giving you all this information in this scenario. But we are going to talk about a couple things. First thing we're going to talk about is we made a huge improvement to help defense, and we achieved this by doing two different things. One was an increase to the defense awareness, and shout out to my guy Billy Bills, Wankwin Skip on Twitter. He does not drop slider sets, but he's been making slider sets for a while, and I talked to him for a little while, and I told him the issue I was having with trying to create realistic turnovers, and he talked to me a little bit about defensive awareness, and so we went ahead and raised defensive awareness for both the CPU and the user to create a better defensive experience where they'll actually steal the ball and go for these passes, and let me tell you, it's a lot better. Next is help defense. So I've seen some videos on 2K24 on how they fixed help defense, and it was you have to go do these defensive settings in the game and all this stuff to create realistic help defense where the wrong guy doesn't leave his man in the corner, which we've all seen, both for the user and CPU. The guy will leave his man wide open in the corner to go help where he didn't need to help. It was really ridiculous. Well, we fixed that, and you don't have to do any defensive settings at all. It's actually all tied to the help defensive strength slider. What's crazy about this is nobody really thinks about what this slider does. It does exactly what it says it's going to do very, very well. In fact, it's part of the reason there's so many problems is you raise this slider, the strength of the help defense is increased. Well, how do they increase that strength? They bring guys over crazy fast. So if you beat your defender, whether it's through a pick and roll, dribble move, whatever, they're making sure they have someone over there to help out right away. Well, when people jack up this help defense slider, that's what causes these guys to leave their men in the corner to come help. They're coming over because the help defense is so strong that that's what they're being told to do. So when we lower help defense, guess what these guys don't do anymore? They don't just run over just randomly. They stick to their man unless it actually makes sense. Had this happen to me on stream, I broke it down and showed how the guy left his man in the corner because of the help defense. It actually made sense, and the other defender who got beat actually ran over and picked up the man in the corner on a really good rotation. We did get a shot that was considered open, but he did get a slight contest on there, so it wasn't a wide open shot, it ended up being an open shot, and it was really good to see the defense play so much better help defense. So honestly, the changes to improve the help defense overall was literally lower help defense and then adjust the defense awareness settings. And there's no defensive settings we have to change in game, guys. This has fixed it. So whatever you guys been doing to get help defense straightened out, you don't got to do no coach settings no more. This is it. Help defense is legit. This is also going to create a lot more turnovers for you and the CPU. And let me warn you, we have been conditioned to play some pretty bad basketball. We've been able to make passes through traffic, make passes to guys who aren't open, dribble into the paint against 2 or 3 help defenders and have nothing happen. Not anymore. Guys, if you dribble in and there's a help defender who's a good defender, has good ratings, he's going to go after that as an off-ball defender and going to steal that ball from you. He's going to poke it free. So you got to be careful when you drive in and attack against people in the paint. And you got to also be careful about making passes. Passes that are defended. The CPU and your players as well are going to knock them away or steal them. It's pretty balanced as far as the turnovers. In fact, the only thing that's going to make it unbalanced is the initial adjustment you're going to have to make as a user from not doing all the things we've been conditioned to do as far as bad passes and dribbling into defenses and things like that. Once you start adjusting to that, your turnovers will drop down and it'll be very, very even with what the CPU is doing, but we're going to get much higher turnover numbers now, which is fantastic. The next thing we're going to talk about is shooting fouls. Shout out to my guy Scorpio Sky. We had shooting foul at 88, and we were getting 30 freaking free throws a game, which was awesome because we've never had free throws like that in 2K before. The problem is the NBA average is 23. And both the user and CPU are very consistently getting in like right around 30, if not more. Pretty much anytime you went to the hoop, you were getting a foul call. And not only was that unrealistic due to the foul numbers, but you couldn't even play good defense. And my man Scorpio sent me a couple of videos, and he was just showing me his gripes with it. And, you know, he made a lot of sense and pointed out, not only that, I shoot for realistic numbers, and we want 23 as an average. So we needed to cut free throws down significantly. So we are down to 70 in the shooting foul for both user and CPU. This has created a lot of really cool animations defensively that we haven't seen before. More blocked shots and more just no calls when you go into the paint, realistically mimicking what we're seeing in today's NBA and in the playoffs. And free throw numbers are right around where we want NBA average. I just played a game on stream where I was the Knicks. I had 22, and the CPU 76ers had 18. So right, realistic free throw numbers, right? And that's what we want. Now, everything else is in here that you guys need. Those are the main things I wanted to hit on, or the changes to the defense, the turnovers, and the free throw numbers. That's what you're mostly going to see. Be prepared, guys. CPU is totally different with the changes to the awareness sliders on offense. They're completely different. The way they attack is different. The way they move things is different. The way they dribble with the new tendencies, the moves they use. Again, if you haven't seen it, check out some footage that I dropped of the gameplay, and you'll see Embiid and Maxey doing things I promise you haven't seen the CPU do before, and you'll be like, holy crap. You gotta watch the first quarter, you'll see a ton of things. So yeah, if you don't know for sure you want to try this, man, you don't want to take my word for it, the proof's in the pudding, man. Watch the video. So now we're going to talk about what everybody is here for. The scenario, how to download the scenario. So we talked at the beginning of the video about the SGN membership program and the perks that you get from there. And one way I make sure to maintain those perks for my members is we have different gamer tags we do. Because a person could literally get a membership for 1 month, get the gamer tag, and then be like, all right, I got the SGN gamer tag that he uses, and now I can cancel my membership and have everything. No. We rotate through a lot of different gamer tags, so you're never going to know who has the information. But this is a public one, so don't worry about it. Just know this is not my gamer tag, and this is not going to get you anything going forward with SGN unless you're a member. So anyway, what you're going to do is you're just going to go and you're going to search for online ID. This is again for Xbox or PlayStation. This is next gen, and you are going to put in the gamer tag. It's ITZ, and then it is important. You're going to put a space in here. And then we're going to go PMONEY. It's P Money. And then it 8912. And you're going to search. And right here, MyNBA Reborn. This is the file for you guys. Go ahead, grab the scenario. Like I said, everything is in here, including the draft class for you. If you decide to simulate through the playoffs and get to the off season, you are all set up. Go through your offseason, have fun. All you have to do once you get to the next season is redo the intangibles, redo the play discipline, do the badge edits. It takes about 10 minutes, guys. It's really not that big of a deal, and it's worth it. And then you're good to go, man. Enjoy the gameplay. Hope you have fun. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, y'all, stay tuned to the next one. Peace.